What's up, everybody? Welcome back to What They Teach You in High School. Hey, today we're on to part 2 of the Constitution, and we're going to be looking at Article 2 today, and that establishes our executive branch, and that's the president's, folks. And if you need to know one thing about the president, it's that their favorite sub from Jimmy John's is the number 5, and that's the veto, folks. Welcome back to What They Teach You in High School. Hey, so last week we talked about the Article 1 of the Constitution, which establishes our legislative branch. We looked at our little mini pocket Constitution, and in the Constitution we determined that the legislative branch made up about 8 pages of the Constitution. And today we're looking at Article 2, which it establishes the rules for the executive branch. And that is actually only about 3 pages in our little mini Constitution, which means that the president's rules and regulations are minimal. And we're going to take a look at just 3 clauses today that establish what the presidency is about. So let's get into it. So in Article 2, Paragraph 1, Clause 5, it says that the president must be a natural-born citizen of the United States. They must be 35 years old, and they must have lived in the United States for the past 14 years in order to run for office. And that establishes our first clause within Article 2, which is the natural-born citizen clause. Hey, it's trivia time. Here's your trivia for the day. In what article do we find the single responsibility of the Vice President of the United States? Is it Article 1? Is it Article 2? Is it Article 3? Or is it Article 4? That's right, you gotta go back to Article 1 under the legislative branch to read that the Vice President's single responsibility is to break any ties in the United States Senate. The second clause we need to look at is the Appointments Clause. And that clause is found in Article 2, Paragraph 2, Clause 2, which says the president may, with the advice and consent of the Senate, appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States. That means that the president makes all the determinations for who's going to fill the executive branch offices. The final clause we're going to take a look at today is the Faithfully Execute Clause, which is stated when the president takes their oath of office. The president must make this claim before they become the president. They state that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Ultimately, what this means is that the president has the power and the authority to execute laws, but they must be executed in good faith and can be held accountable through impeachment. And while the president can be held accountable through impeachment, the president has authority over Congress to veto any laws that they decide they don't support. These can be overruled by 2/3 of the majority of the Congress. However, that's highly unlikely to happen, and therefore the president has great authority in canceling any legislation that they decide is not representative of their beliefs or the people that they represent, which in this case is the entire population of the United States of America. Finally, the last thing we're going to explore is the fact that while the Congress declares war, the president represents the army as the commander-in-chief and is the head of the military. Rather than having somebody who's spent their entire life within the military, leading the military ultimately, we actually give that responsibility to a citizen, or a politician in this case, who oversees the military and makes decisions with the military generals. What you'll notice that we left out is the role of the vice president. And like we learned in our trivia time, the vice president's only real responsibility actually shows up in Article 1 of the Constitution, which says that their responsibility is to break any ties within the United States Senate. Remember, there's 100 members, and there could potentially be a 50-50 split, in which case the vice president comes and makes the tie-breaking vote. And that might make you wonder, what is the point of being a vice president if their only job is to break a tie if there's potentially a tie to be broken? Well, the fact of the matter is, 9 of our last 46 presidents were actually the vice president and did not win an election in order to become president. That's pretty good odds. Hey, thanks as always for watching What They Teach You in High School. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Is the president too powerful? Is the president not powerful enough? Should the president have more say in our lives or less say in our lives? Go ahead and leave a comment, and also make sure you're sharing these videos with everyone that you know, including your social studies teacher at your local high school. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time on What They Teach You in High School. Peace.